this cute little bag that he can put in his pocket or attach to a backpack. So this is for Quinn, this is for Greg, this is for Mario, and look, out comes your bag. And see, it's sort of plasticky, so you can put your mangoes and your guineas when you're done eating, and then you just wash your bag again. So, gentlemen, there you go. That is your solution for no more t-shirt plastic bags. How about that? Good morning to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah,
Quint is over there.
I, I don't have any words. She got us. She got us. You know.
To the regional and international diaspora, good morning. And look, see, folded up back already. It's good to go. So
yeah, leave
come
it
on,
up.
folks.
Leave it up to a woman to be. She went home, thought out this thing, and came back today.
See?
Yeah.
Plastic free SKN. I have this bag because they were working on the initiative a while now. So yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on mute. So how are we doing it this morning, folks? It's another month to get our goals in. How should I say? It's another month to pursue our goals. It's another month to get ourselves in shape for those of us that are working on our physique, or health, because some of us have to do it for health reasons. We should just all do it, even if we walk for 30 minutes a day. So, yeah, that's what we have to do. So we will begin this morning. Well, before we begin, we're simulcast on TVC channel 40. We are on Facebook and YouTube. And just to remind you of the numbers, if you have a topic you want to raise or a discussion you want to weigh in on, the UK line 0333 440065. The USA 718-285-6984. Our second US number 305-921-4619. Our local numbers 466-0989 and 662-0989. On the local scene, I just want to touch on the 3 headlines that I see. Police Commissioner speaks out after 2 fatal crashes in Whitegate. We also have Foreign Minister Douglas clarified St. Kitts and Nevis stance on Venezuelan oil. And then I see increased importation of ecstasy into the Federation. And there's, on the regional scene, I see Caribbean toll heat wave will not be as intense as the past 2 years. I don't believe that.
No, I kind of had the feeling so because we're into April, the 1st of April, and it's kind of still chilly. Usually it's
I find some days it's like hot.
Yes, that is true, but on a overall scale, at this time of the year, we would have been already sweltering for the most part.
Okay. So it just
the evenings and the night are still kind of chilly. Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. And also on the local scene, I see 2025 Agri-Easter Market to boost local agribusiness and enhance access to healthier food options. And I know we love the night market. The night market is a thing. But when I looked at the particular headline is that Foreign Minister Douglas clarifies St. Kitts and Nevis stance on Venezuelan oil. I know most of us are being bullied to not support certain countries. But what if that's the only country that ends up having oil and we're in desperate need? What does one do?
You mean Venezuela?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be the only country.
No, I'm just saying, what if?
That's a kind of hard one.
I know.
I never really put my mind there. But your country is going to have oil,
Well, if everybody depends on my country, what will happen? We have to pray that.
No, the Middle East still has oil. The OPEC nations still have oil. The United States of America is still saying, drill, baby, drill, So Trinidad and Tobago, as far as I know, still have some oil.
Yeah.
So.
But I don't like the fact that, listen.
But what I'm interested in is what actually did Dr. Denzel Douglas say in relation to that? Does it have any statement on it?
Give me 1 second. 1 second. I have it right here, ready to go. Okay, and it says, as Donald Trump as the Donald Trump administration intensifies sanctions on Venezuela's oil and gas sector, St. Kitts and Nevis Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Denzel Douglas has clarified the Federation's position. Recent U.S. State Department policies have raised concern by imposing tariffs on countries purchasing Venezuelan oil and sanctioning companies involved in its transport. Addressing these concerns, Dr. Douglas confirmed that while St. Kitts and Nevis remains part of the PDVSA bloc, the country is not currently importing oil from Caracas. He said, and quote, "At the moment, I do not think that we are actually purchasing products from Venezuela, mainly because we've had some problems with the approval of the vessel that will be doing the transportation normally." For years, the U.S. has imposed severe sanctions on the Nicolas Maduro administration, targeting the president and his cabinet as Venezuela grapples with economic and political turmoil. The sanction requires vessels transporting fuel to obtain specific documentation and approvals. In docking here in St. Kitts, there are certain specific requirements that were made, and unless the vessel is retrofitted to meet those requirements that have been initiated by the St. Kitts government, St. Kitts and Nevis government, and the companies that stores, etc., then there is no, I guess that's supposed to be, then there is none. At the moment, there is no purchase of products directly from Venezuela. The U.S. has urged regional partners to source fuel from Guyana, which Washington continues to support. During his recent visit, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized the importance of energy security in the Caribbean. Meanwhile, tensions between Guyana and Venezuela remains high over a long-standing border dispute. Caracas continues to lay claim to two-thirds of Guyana, a matter currently before the International Court of Justice. The situation escalated recently when Venezuela sent a military vessel into the oil-rich Stabroek Block, an area operated by American energy giant ExxonMobil.
Okay, read back that part that says Marco Rubio something about security.
So the U.S. has urged regional partners to source fuel from Guyana, which Washington continues to support. During his recent visit, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized the importance of energy security in the Caribbean.
So you see, you're going to emphasize energy security, but still you're going to try to curtail our options. I mean, nonsense. And whereas I understand what the Honorable Dr. Denzel Douglas is saying, it is still in a sense kind of saying, okay, we're not really getting anything from Venezuela, so we're not a part of it. And what happens if, as you said, hypothetically, if we were in a situation where the only option we had was Venezuela, what then? I know that in the past, Venezuela and what they offered in relation to oil were very good deals for us, you understand? During those periods, I don't think that we would have survived without the oil from Venezuela. So we must always be mindful of the fact that we don't know how things are going to play out in the long run. I think he could have been a little bit more diplomatic, even though to a certain extent he was, because it's a bit of diplomacy to say, well, presently we're not getting anything from there, but it still leaves the U.S. Department with the big stick over your head, ready to pounce and say, okay, but in the event that is the case, what are you going to do? We don't want you to go there. We have a caller.
Caller, good morning. You're live in ILT.
Good morning to everybody.
Yes,
greetings once more in Jesus' name.
Morning.
The only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, first of all, I would like to say, Catensia. Yes, it's very interesting. The bag is not really much different from what they have now, with the reusable bags that you have to buy. But let me ask a question. Can you line your garbage bin with those bags?
No, but we have garbage bags for that,
No.
Greg.
Yeah, but no, there's a reason why I asked that.
Mm.
There's a reason why I
No,
asked
this is a
that.
reusable one. This one is
Huh?
reusable. This one is
Yeah,
reusable. Mm.
yeah, there's a reason why I asked that. And you would have to buy that as well. You would have to buy that as well. But dealing with the garbage thing, you cannot line your garbage bin with those, okay?
No.
No, like I said yesterday, what is going to happen is that the sales of garbage bags are going to increase, and they're going to increase tremendously, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I said, garbage bags are heavier, and they're thicker, and they are more durable, they are longer lasting. Therefore, they are worse for the environment, for the landfill, and so on. They are worse for. But not only that, garbage bags are more expensive than what we have been getting when we go to the supermarket to buy our groceries. The garbage bags are significantly more expensive than those bags. Now, what's going to happen is that you're going to put poor people who are having life difficulty, in an even harder situation, because they're going to have to buy these bags now for the garbage bins. But what's going to also happen is that as the demand goes up for garbage bags, so will the price or the cost of garbage bags go up, because prices are set by supply and demand. So that's going to be even worse. But not only that, me and a person was talking last night, and I bring up those issues to a person last night. And you know what the person said? The person said, well, maybe more people now, instead of buying the garbage bags, they're just going to throw the garbage just like that in the bins. So if that happens on a larger scale, it's going to be even a lot more less healthy and more smelly and worse for the environment. If that was to happen, that people will be, instead of putting them in garbage bags, just throw them loosely in the garbage bin. That would be a worse situation. So anyway you twist it or cut it, it's going to end up to be worse. And like I said, studies have been done. These ain't things that doesn't have studies to them. Studies have been done, and these things, and when you weigh the pros and the cons, based upon the studies, it's not a rosy picture. If anything, it's made the situation worse.
Have you looked at other islands though that would have cut out the single-use plastic bags, and have you looked at how they're surviving? Islands like Tortola and Antigua, etc., etc.
Well, again, I'm sure that these things are happening in those countries. But I know, for example, in Antigua, inflation has been going up.
Antigua's always been pricey, Greg.
The inflation? Huh?
Antigua's always been pricey. A crate of egg in Antigua is almost $18 now.
Right, inflation has been going up. But you see, the thing is, as you put poor people especially in more expenses, you make it worse on them, because when it comes to poor people and who are struggling, especially single mothers, every 1 cent counts on them.
I understand
and counts very much. So when you put poor people, especially single mothers who are struggling in life to feed themselves and feed their kids, okay? May not seem much to a person who working for a big salary, but trust me, for that poor person, it's a whole lot of extra burden you put on them.
Okay, Greg.
There are more poor people than rich people in the country.
Morning.
Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead, caller.
No. Why is Greg insisting that garbage bag, you're forced to buy more garbage bags? No. Here where I live, they don't do plastic bag in the store anymore when I go groceries or go to the store to buy clothes or anything. Mm-hmm. You can buy a cloth bag if you want, or you can just walk out with your stuff in your hand. Mm-hmm. Or like if you go to the big store like Costco and BJ's, they have boxes there that they take out the stuff in. You can grab a box and put your stuff in a box. Just take it to your car. We use garbage bags here, and I'm not spending any more than I used to on a garbage bag. I don't see why Greg even lamenting on that. And now, here you is, you're in the Caribbean. Up to this morning, I see New York now has imposed compost on people. They give them a compost bin. So now New York is telling you cannot throw the food because we have a lot of food. If we honest, we here in America, we throw away a lot of food. Okay? So now New York giving them a compost bin so you don't throw the food now in with the regular, your paper and your stuff.
That
whatever
makes
other
sense.
garbage you may have.
Yeah,
So
that makes
you're
sense.
in the Caribbean. The food, compost it. Use it to thing your plant.
We used to though. I remember as a child seeing people use the skin and stuff from vegetables and plantains and stuff in the soil.
Yeah.
Right, I don't know why Greg is lamenting every day on garbage bags. like now that you don't have single-use plastic bag in the store, now you got to run out and go buy garbage bag for your bin. If you were buying garbage bags for your bins before, I don't think you're going to buy any more than you were normally buying.
But remember too, he's considering the single moms that this might become an investment. But I swore I remember people using plastic bins, throwing away the trash and then washing out their bins.
But if you again, if it's the food, because what he seems to have a problem with is the food, compost. You're in the Caribbean, compost. You do that with the food. Use it as fertilizer.
Yeah.
To lament every day is ridiculous. But anyway, I'll call that, guys. Have a good
All
day.
right, thank
Same
you.
to you. Take care. Greg does have a point in terms of the volume now that is going to be placed. Remember, with the single-use plastic, there used to be multiple plastic that you will throw into your garbage bin, but now you'll have a whole big garbage bag that is going to. So that could be kind of cumbersome. But again, like the caller said, to lament on it every day, he has a point, but I don't know if I think
just like how-
we understand by now what he's trying to say. So I don't think to dwell on it every day really gets us anywhere. But he does have a point in terms that garbage for the collectors is going to be more cumbersome now, because whereas you could have, I've seen the garbage individuals and they have their gloves and they put their hands in and they take out the different bags individually, throw them. But now you'll have to dump the whole container over.
Like they used to do before.
Yeah, but it's going to be a bit heavy. So that's the point that he was
I
making.
understand, but some people still use garbage bags and like the Glad bags and stuff that are tough. Those get filled with a lot because you can put a lot in there. Caller, good morning. You're live in Island T.
Hey, good morning, Cortez. How are we doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Good morning, Queens. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm here giving God, giving God thanks. So the radio is not disturbing you.
No.
I don't know if we overlooking the point I heard on one of the stations that Trump is asking Guyana to give them control of the oil in Essequibo.
I heard that.
Yeah, the same thing he's doing in Ukraine.
Yes.
So Trump is trying to do what the imperial powers used to do, the colonial powers used to do.
That is what I've been saying all along, and that's what I reiterated yesterday, that I'm a bit disappointed that
I hope they don't give him.
that Ali sort of jumped so quickly in trying to garner the U.S.'s support in security in the Essequibo region.
Yeah, because the same thing. So he now causing demand from Ukraine. They're backing back. I mean, really?
Yeah, because all you realize every place that he wants has something of value.
Yeah.
Because Ukraine is full of a lot of minerals.
So I don't
Greenland
know
as well is full of a lot of minerals, but the Greenlanders don't want to become U.S. citizens. I don't know why he don't quit.
not the citizenship, he's thinking about controlling your whatever resources you have.
Yeah, but then too, he might still offer them that and say you're better off being in the state of America. You know him.
Yeah, but
So Guyana better
things,
watch itself too.
They better.
yeah.
So while we're thinking about Venezuela, what's in Venezuela is here?
Yes.
Listen.
I
gotta
think,
recycle
I think,
something else.
Miss Sylvine, I think that the rest of the Caribbean region should sit down and have a talk with Ali and show him the pros and the cons.
But what if he doesn't
Ali
listen?
Sisi right
What
now
if
in
he thinks?
Ukraine.
What if he thinks what is happening now for his country is beneficial, and he thinks
Beneficial.
But it's not. What
we're that's
going
what I'm.
along the
Listen,
history.
I
We're
don't.
following the
I'm not
history.
for it, but
What
I'm
I'm
just.
saying that they have expressed their intention, so you don't have to guess it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And we
So
know.
what he suggested, well, when we got it, Venezuela did not come over there because it would be ours.
Yes, that is
So they will
what
not
that
be,
is what
they're not
Nakarugo.
defending or doing anything for Guyana.
They're doing it for themselves if that's the case.
Yeah, yeah.
So the Guyanese better wake up.
Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Oh my gosh.
They better wake up in truth.
Yes.
All right. Let me send get well greetings to Rockland Boy. He and his wife is in the hospital.
Oh boy.
Okay. Wow.
So get well to all those who are up there, those who are grieving. This dying have no end, you know.
Not
That's
at
why the
all.
Bible said, prepare to meet your God.
Yeah.
Whether you want to believe in God or not, all of us have an expiry date.
Yeah.
You.
And after that is judgment. And for my good friend Greg, they don't leave the bags closed, you know. I went over to the landfill and they hire people who walk around and cut open the plastic bags.
Oh, okay.
I saw it my own self. So when your garbage goes in the bags, they walk around and cut them open. So the same thing we go with the garbage bags.
Yeah.
They cut them open. That will reduce the weight of the bag on the pile.
Yeah. And that.
When they're closed with the heat, they will ferment.
Yes. That is what I was going to say. Yeah.
All right, then have a good day, so long.
You too.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thanks for your contribution as usual.
Yeah. I think that I think that Ali is gonna be enticed to sort of think over his decision and don't rush too quickly. We have another caller. Hello.
Yes, Quint?
Yes.
I just want to say a quick thing. No, number one, okay? People are making every day the defense for the garbage bags. I think I'm entitled to make my defense in my point as well. But what I want to say is that it ain't just about cutting the bags, you know. The bags themselves is more burden on the environment because they're thicker, heavier, and that sort of stuff. The bags them own self is worse for the environment. But what I also want to say, I think a point I made has been missed. I tend to say that people clean the bin. I'm not talking about that bin, I'm talking about the bin that the garbage men use to throw in the garbage truck. People ain't gonna clean out those. And what now you might pass bins that have more loose garbage items in them. Because poor people and so is gonna be in a more difficult position to go buy those more expensive garbage bags than the wrongly called single-use plastic bags. And remember, our garbage are only picked up once a week. Only once a week our garbage are picked up. So as poor people, and like I said, there are more poor people than rich people in the country. And that's some may put themselves in the extra expense to buy the garbage bags, but others who life will be made more difficult by doing that, going deeper in the pocket. Like I said, may just try to lose items, try to lose food container and that sort of stuff, and then next thing it gets a lot less healthy and more smelly and that sort of stuff. And like I say, you want to pick up once a week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
That's what I'm really talking
I
about.
wash my garbage bin, even though my garbage is in there with my bin that's outside, Greg, the big one that solid waste
Yeah,
gave
but
us.
how many people do that?
But Lord,
How many people do that?
how we survived back then when we had to wash out our buckets and all those
Greg,
things.
Greg, I hear what you're saying.
Don't worry, we're gonna fall in
we
line.
hear what you're saying. all we're saying, we get your point, all we're saying is you don't belabor it. You might make them say, well, okay, we're going to finish with the garbage bags, and then what are we going to use?
Definitely be
No,
washing up.
no, because like I said, as the demand goes up for them, the price are going to increase for the garbage bags, no?
We hear you, Greg.
Yeah, but Greg, nothing staying one spot in terms of price. I have a favorite snack in the supermarket. It started at $7. Greg, it's almost $13. It's $12.95 now.
Yeah, and poor people already have to fight with those prices. Now you're adding an extra price increase on them.
Yeah.
Yes, we hear you.
It ain't easy on poor people, no?
That is true.
It ain't easy on poor people.
Understood.
And people are making their defense every day for this policy. Well, why can't I make my defense for my view on the policy every day as well?
Well, if you choose to do so, you choose to do so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so is there any other issue that you think might be worthy of being brought to the fore?
Other than the plastic bags, oh boy. I never thought plastic bags would have been so much trouble. I saw Tonga had an earthquake yesterday, but these earthquakes are too frequent. When it's not here in the Caribbean, it's down there. They won a tsunami watch, but that didn't come into fruition, thank God. But they had slight damages over there, and I see the death toll in Myanmar, where they had the 7.7. It continues to
Perhaps most likely the earth is trying to warn us that we're doing certain things that are detrimental to the earth, and if we're doing things that will kill Mother Earth, then we're doing things that will kill us as the human beings. The earth reacts to how we as human beings deal with her, and I know that for energy, a lot of bad things are being done to garner energy to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth is going to respond in kind. So we better be aware of what we do as we advance into the future, because our actions may have very, very telling repercussions down the line. You see? Yeah.
Oh boy. I felt I must say I went through safely the 6.9 earthquake they had in Trinidad on the 21st of August 2018, and let me tell you, that was an experience, huh? I was like, which way is this building gonna fall? Is it gonna go end up in the pool? Is it gonna, because I was in a high-rise hotel, and I'm like, and the shaking was violent. Imagine walking down the stairs while we are now evacuating, and you see the whole building has this long crack in the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. I go outside, there are people out there in their boxes lying on the ground. It was a scene. One of my coworkers, she came down, we'd be like, your pants is on the wrong side. She'd be like, I just grabbed the first thing and ran out the room. Listen. I'm like, sheesh.
I'm gonna play a clip. It's about maybe 7 minutes long, but it deals with the Guyana issue, and just give it a listen.
They have already been at loggerheads with neighboring Guyana over the disputed oil-rich Essequibo region. This time, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has dragged the United States into the dispute. He claims that the United States is building secret military bases in the contested territory of Essequibo. The disputed region is said to have the world's largest oil reserves. It's been governed by Guyana for more than 100 years. However, Venezuela claims Essequibo as its own. Maduro has alleged that the secret U.S. military bases will act as an aggression against the people of his country.
Mr. President, are you ready for an invasion from Venezuela?
We are ready for peace and stability. We are working for peace and stability.
Could a U.S. military base in Essequibo be the key to protecting Guyana from Venezuelan threats? As tensions between the two nations continue to rise, Guyana is looking for stronger defence options. One major proposal is to establish a US military base in Essequibo, which could act as a powerful deterrent against Venezuelan aggression. This comes as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio visits Guyana after a meeting in Jamaica with CARICOM leaders, reinforcing America's commitment to regional security. Recognizing the growing threat posed by Venezuela's military posturing, the Guyana Defense Force, GDF, is undergoing modernization efforts. The government has prioritized investments in advanced defense technologies, surveillance equipment, and military infrastructure. These efforts are aimed at ensuring Guyana can effectively monitor and respond to threats along its borders and territorial waters.
A strong nation must have the means to deter and identify threats. That is why we're investing in our defense force. Not for war, not for aggression, but for protection, for development, and for national security. Today, we mark a critical step forward in that mission with the opening of this hangar at Ogle. This facility is not just a building, it is a statement. It says that Guyana is prepared, that our defense force is evolving, and that our skies will be watched and protected, and it will be sure to serve our people. Our eyes will be sharper, our reach will be longer, our response will be swifter. The Guyana Defense Force Air Corps will be strengthened. Our fleet will be better maintained, better equipped, and better resourced. We'll ensure that our pilots and airmen have the tools they need to patrol our borders, respond to threats.
Yet, critics warn that despite these upgrades, Guyana's military remains vastly outmatched by Venezuela's larger and better equipped forces, making diplomacy a more viable, long-term strategy. Given the dense jungle terrain of Essequibo, Guyana is focusing on asymmetric warfare strategies that leverage its geographic advantages. The GDF is training specialized units in jungle warfare tactics, which could be used to disrupt enemy forces in case of an incursion. Additionally, recognizing the increasing role of cyber warfare in modern conflicts, Guyana is investing in cybersecurity infrastructure to protect its military and governmental systems from potential cyber attacks. However, military analysts debate whether these efforts would be enough to counter a full-scale invasion from Venezuela, given the latter's superior air and naval capabilities. The United States has already begun assisting Guyana in preparing for large-scale combat operations. The US Southern Command Southcom and Security Force Assistance Brigades, SFAB, have been training Guyanese forces in modern warfare techniques. This training aims to enhance the GDF's combat readiness and ability to operate effectively in high-threat environments. While this cooperation strengthens Guyana's military posture, there are concerns about whether increased US involvement might turn Guyana into a geopolitical flashpoint in US-Venezuela relations. To bolster its defensive position, Guyana has proposed the establishment of a US military base in Essequibo through a formal defense treaty with Washington. Such a base would serve as a deterrent against Venezuelan aggression, as it would solidify US military presence in the region. The presence of US forces would also enhance intelligence sharing, rapid response capabilities, and overall regional stability. However, some argue that this move could further escalate tensions with Venezuela, potentially provoking more aggressive actions instead of deterring them. If the US military base in Essequibo becomes a reality, it will have both positive and negative effects on Guyana and Venezuela. For Guyana, it would provide stronger national security, increased military support, and economic growth from US investments. However, it could also escalate tensions with Venezuela and make Guyana reliant on US military presence for protection. For Venezuela, a US base could act as a deterrent against military action, but also increase international pressure and further isolate the country diplomatically. It could also risk provoking military confrontation if tensions continue to rise. The idea of a US military base in Essequibo has sparked debate among policymakers, military analysts, and citizens. Supporters argue that a US presence would provide a strong deterrent against Venezuelan aggression, securing Guyana's sovereignty and economic interests. Given the increasing oil production in Guyana, maintaining territorial integrity is crucial for economic stability. On the other hand, critics believe that such a move could lead to unnecessary provocation. Venezuela has already expressed strong opposition to US involvement in regional affairs, and the establishment of a military base could escalate tensions further. Some analysts suggest that Guyana should focus on diplomatic avenues, such as strengthening ties with international organizations and securing backing from the United Nations, rather than relying solely on military deterrence. By implementing these measures, Guyana is positioning itself to resist Venezuelan expansionist ambitions while maintaining a strong alliance with the United States. The proposed military base, combined with jungle warfare expertise and cyber defense initiatives, could shift the balance of power in the region. However, the question remains: would a US military base bring peace and security, or would it ignite a new chapter of conflict in the region? The upcoming months will be critical in determining whether diplomatic efforts can prevent further escalation, or if military preparedness becomes the ultimate safeguard against external threats.
Yeah, that's it. It gives us sort of an analysis of the varying aspects, the pros and the cons. And I agree that Ali should use a more diplomatic approach.
But you didn't think he tried?
I think that he should continue to try. I think it is too early to, because remember that clip said that he actually proposed for the U.S. to bring a base there. That is a key factor. He proposed it. So he even preempted the U.S. The second thing is that in the proposal, he formed or signed a treaty. We've got to be very careful of treaties. History and treaties in relation...
It's a treaty that has them fighting now.
That's it.
Guyana-Venezuela.
Yes. Treaties in relation to brown and black people, the history has not been good. Okay? So we're going to take a bit of a break as we digest that, and we'll come back and continue our discussions. And if there's anything that you want to input or there's another issue that you want to bring up, feel free to do so.
From the South, 99.9.
It's the start of the week. It's time for a new perspective. It's time for Unfiltered. Join Azar Gums, lawyer and deputy leader of the People's Action Movement, for raw and unfiltered political analysis of the current events in St. Kitts and Nevis. Tune in every Sunday evening from 7:30 p.m. on Win FM. Join Azar Gums as he breaks the mantle and cuts through the unfiltered political noise to bring you the facts. Unfiltered every Sunday evening on Win FM 98.9.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Hey, have you heard about the water shortage in our area?
Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible.
Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth.
That's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste?
A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time.
Wow, that's a lot. I'll have to check for any leaks in my house.
But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they're full, to save water and energy.
I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage.
Absolutely. Every job counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
The importance of co-parenting. Every child has the right to bond with the parents that gave them life. Children are happiest when they can freely communicate and enjoy the time, talents, and lessons that each parent brings to the relationship.
We make co-parenting difficult when we focus on differences rather than what is in the best interest of our children. Parents, your relationship with each other should never affect the relationship you have with your child. Celebrate your children together. They deserve your best. A message brought to you by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea. And Quinn, I want to say, I know Mr. McMahon normally says share. Sharing is caring. We know we teach the young ones that. But I wondered if we share, if it would have been better. But I don't think so, because in having conversation with my mom, she would tell me as a little girl, gosh, his name is eluding me right now, but the previous administrator of Venezuela, they had the same argument. She said something had happened in 1964, I think, if I remember the year correctly. So they've been constant fighting for the part of Guyana that they want. And if they take that chunk, Guyana is basically nothing. It's going to be a tiny speck.
I don't feel that Guyana should acquiesce. I don't feel that Guyana should give in and say, well, this territory is yours. Even though we understand that there was a treaty done. And this shows you how history and the Europeans have messed up the world. Here's what I feel.
We're all going to die and not take anything with us.
Because this agreement, this carving up of the boundary was not done by either Guyana or Venezuela back then.
But they weren't in charge.
That's it. They weren't in charge. Because they were not the ones who did this carving up. I think that because of the way things stand presently, I think that they should decide to share. That is my feeling. I believe that they should try. Yeah,
we didn't go over there and say, let me share your oil now.
But they didn't. They remember that this territory originally, historically, factually belonged to Venezuela. That is the fact.
Says who? Jesus?
No, that is the way it was. It's the Europeans who carved it up. And so Guyana wind up with this part that is the Essequibo region. I am saying Guyana should not just give it up because they did not go and carve up the place. But I believe that because it originally belonged to Venezuela, there should be an agreement.
But who said, listen, so the agreement is the Geneva Agreement of 1966. That's the year also when Guyana got its independence from England. It says, regarding the Guyana-Venezuela territorial dispute, was signed by the United Kingdom representing British Guyana, because it was British Guyana then, different spelling as well. Guyana was spelled G-U-I-A-N-A, now it's spelled G-U-Y-N-A. And Venezuela. It says, the agreement signed on February the 7th, 1966, aimed to resolve the controversy over the frontier between Venezuela and British Guyana, which would soon become independent Guyana. The signatories were the governments of the United Kingdom, British Guyana, and Venezuela.
But Venezuela has said, and we have not seen anything to prove otherwise, that they did not sign any treaty.
So why is it saying that they signed it?
Because they did not have a choice. And just like I said, listen, just like I said, Guyana, we're not sure if Guyana actually approached the U.S. for this thing, We're hearing that they did. We're hearing that
we need to chat with Mr. Irfan.
That's what I'm saying. Because remember I said on a prior program that the United States and the big stick wheelers, they tend to put you in a compromising position and you have no choice. Let's say that the United States made the proposal to FNL, right? Let's be hypothetical. They made the proposal to him, but so that they can continue to divide and conquer, they're now letting their propaganda, remember that word, propaganda, go out there and say FNL is the one who approached. What is FNL going to do? Is he in a position to say, no, I didn't do that? You understand what I'm saying? So they put us in compromising position, and then
why you say he's not in a position to say he didn't? If he didn't, shouldn't he let the people know that he didn't, and that is the U.S. that approached him?
It is easier said than done. He can do that, but then the United States might be saying, yeah, well, when you do that, you're going to be at the mercy of Venezuela, and Venezuela is going to come in, and who you're going to run to. You understand what I'm saying? So they could be the ones who, look, this thing propaganda is not, I mean, the majority of the new, look, if you want to understand propaganda, look at the way how Israel has been killing the Palestinians, and how many of the established news medias around the world are really getting down and being adamant and saying this is wrong. How many of them?
A few, not a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because they prefer to push the propaganda that the Israelis
are defending themselves.
That is what you hear them say. Well, the Israelis are, because of what happened in the recent when, but they're not going back to when they started the whole thing. You understand? That is what propaganda does. Hello, caller?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yes. No, well, I for one am not saying that Venezuela should, the territory should be ceded to Venezuela. I have no idea what the International Court of Justice is going to say, but I don't think that the Essequibo region should be ceded to Venezuela.
No,
because we can't go around correcting past injustices.
Yes, I agree.
Right? You can't, otherwise the whole place is going to be in chaos. But what I think they can do, which they're not doing, Guyana seems to be just digging in its heels and is prepared to have strained relations with its neighbor, right next door, one that it has a border with. Why can't they offer the Venezuelans the ability to prospect and drill and so on in the disputed territory, just like how ExxonMobil came in and did the same? Why can't it be shared in that way? It's not, the resources are shared, the land belongs to Guyana, okay? But it's just that Guyana decides how it's going to be developed.
Yes,
who it will give concessions to develop the land, because Guyana can't use all the oil. The size of the find is such that it would probably be there forever. Okay, and so I don't understand this grabbing thing. To me, it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
And I think that rather than try to get protection from the U.S., try to lower the temperature and negotiate with Venezuela, negotiate something like that with Venezuela. Okay, that has not, it seems that has not been tried.
Guyana and Venezuela have been in talks for 28 years and they can't come to an agreement until now. Do you really feel they're going to come to an agreement now? We go over and ask them to share their oil? And this is the greediness I don't understand,
It's greediness on both sides.
Right. Perhaps fighting for what? All of us going to die. And the next generation will come and they're going to fight again. And the next generation will come and they'll fight again until Jesus clear out this world. What is the point? We can't take these things with us.
Which is exactly what we don't want. So why not compromise?
Compromise.
And I'm saying.
Did he compromise and shared some oil with us when he had oil?
But that is the problem.
You go back to
yes, that's the problem. everybody's digging. Venezuela is digging in its heel, and it seems to want the whole territory, which is wrong. And Guyana is digging in its heel, and they're saying we want the whole territory, and that's what we're saying.
Venezuela is saying that it was ours, and now Contentia is saying well, they didn't share theirs with us, so we ain't sharing ours with them. How do you move forward, Contentia? That's the whole point.
But did he come to the table and said, "Can I share with you"?
But nobody's
for?
But nobody's using the word
Did
share.
Guyana do that? Did Guyana
That's
do
it.
that as
Nobody's doing it.
But nobody come and say this shit. You see, all of we greedy, you know. No, look, all of us have these fancy things in our countries, right? But none of us will say, "Oh, that's my neighbor there. Let me share some with my neighbor." None of us ever do that. But soon as we neighbors seem to have a little bit more than us, we jealous and we greedy and we grudge we neighbor. How
That
we
is,
so?
that is true, and that is the problem. That is true, but that is the problem.
I am saying that this is an ideal
Opportunity.
for
hello.
Apart from opportunity, is an ideal problem for the CARICOM and its technocrats in Ghana, where it's headquartered, to get involved in and provide a solution
I agree.
which include a compromise.
I agree.
Not wait until things blow up, because that's what happens.
Paula, we can hear you.
Yeah, we have another caller. Don't hang up. Hello?
Yeah, guys. My thing is, why do they have to share? Venezuela don't have enough already.
We say
Why does Venezuela share with Trinidad?
Listen.
The reason why is because it's disputed territory.
That's it.
Disputed
That's the
territory.
reason. The reason is because it is disputed territory. That is why.
But it's not sorted, so let's stay with our own stuff. How about that?
And so that is the problem. Everybody wants all. Everybody wants all.
But Venezuela have already. They don't think they have enough.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me caller, listen to this. You have a house, okay? You have a house. You built your house. You went to the bank. You got a mortgage. You built your house to your standards. It is a very big house. You have rooms. You have bedrooms. You have a place where you can have a ballroom. You have a place where the man can go and he can put on his system and be alone and blast. And the neighbors are saying, that is a big house. Man, I should have a piece of that house. Okay? Okay. Next thing you know, someone comes and say down the line that the property that you have your house on, follow me here, the property you have your house on was divided long ago, and even though you went and legally you felt as far as you were concerned, you legally got the deed, the title to your land, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you find out that the person who gave you the deal or whoever said they owned the land did some fraudulent thing down the line, and so part of the land that your house is on isn't really yours. It belongs to a neighbor. Now follow me. The neighbor now says, I want all of that part of the house that belongs to me. And you say, I want. Now, you're going to have to get to an agreement, You're going to have to decide, well, okay, I'm going to have to wind up buying this part of the land that belonged to this person from that person now so that I can really have the complete deal. But you're sinking in. You're deciding you're not going to, and that person is deciding, well, I want, because they begrudge your house and how big it is. How are you going to get anywhere?
In the courts.
Yes.
But no, this fight now between Venezuela and Guyana, did that just started?
No, they've been fighting forever.
They've been fighting.
They've been having talks for 28 years, caller. No resolution until now.
And this talk before the discovery of oil or after?
Before. They've been fighting for it before.
Yeah.
But
From
now
moment,
it has only intensified because of the liquid gold.
Yes, it has intensified.
Okay.
Yes.
But now Quincy analogy of the house, right?
Yes.
Now I went and I built my big house.
Yes.
I got the deed, the paper for the land. I got my deed.
Mm-hmm.
that's showing that this land is mine.
Yes.
I don't care whoever cut up whatever, as long as I
Yeah, but the courts,
that this is
but
mine,
the courts, but
it's
the courts
mine.
now, but the courts now, remember the court now has a part to play. The court is saying that the person who gave you that deed, whatever agreement, was that person did some fraud, whether it was a lawyer or whatever, and we know that lawyers get into shady deals and con people into things. So the lawyer whoever was a part of getting you that deed did some nefarious thing. So now it is in dispute, and you now have to resolve that issue. That is the problem. But you don't want to give, and the other person don't want to give. The court will now have to decide. That is why this Essequibo region is in the court hand, and I'm sure that they're going to go in favor of Guyana. I'm sure that we think we can lean that way, and we feel that Guyana should have waited for the court's decision before going and...
But what if they encroach before the court decision? Because they've been encroaching, they're not behaving. So why would you wait to defend yourself?
There have been, because...
have to protect itself.
Listen, because
Quinn,
yes.
Quinn, in the example you gave, what is the usual solution? Because that happens, you know.
Yeah, that happens.
On the wrong land and so on.
Yes.
What is the normal solution in that case? What they do? Don't they
leave it to the court?
But no. But don't they offer the person who now disputes the deed and so on, either offer
money
them money or something to buy them out rather than destroy the house.
That is what I said. Yeah, that is what I said. Someone has.
They're not gonna want monies. They're gonna want what's in that ground.
Yes.
Exactly. And money. They want the oil.
They want the oil. End of story.
Right, but
greedy.
But that is what
greedy
I'm
on both
proposing.
sides.
That is what I'm proposing. that Venezuela be allowed to prospect for oil in that territory. It still remains Guyanese territory.
And
but
Guyana,
but they're going to overdo the do, and they're going to take all.
You don't know that if you don't negotiate.
But if you know the person you're dealing with already, Guyana know who they are dealing with.
Exactly. Thank you.
Guyana does not know who they're dealing with because listen. Let me make this point. We have been quick to jump on Maduro. Maduro was right all along now. When now we see Maduro has been saying all along that the CIA and the America is trying to take over that area. We said, listen, caller. We said, you see, we like to pick sides without knowing the facts. We said, oh, Maduro is trying an election stunt. Election is coming up. He's trying to rile up the people. Now we find out that as we hear.
But he was trying to rile up his people, though.
Yes, but he had cause to do so because no one wants the United States in this territory right now.
But his people, they have no choice but to follow him, you know, because if they don't follow him, it's jail time.
But Queen, you see what you just said. No one wants the United States in that territory. You see, Guyana have to protect itself, but you may not like the protector. And what I get a lot, right, is that Caribbean, especially Kittigan, because especially listening to this station, people, they let it be known they don't like America. But as soon as the
who said we don't like America? Who said we don't like America?
Everybody run to for hell.
That is not a true statement. It is not that we do not. It is not a fact. For me, I am speaking from my behalf. I can't speak for everyone else. I do not hate the United States of America. What we do not like, let me finish. What we do not like.
As you would say, what you use, the brown and the what you call it, the white and the.
Let me finish my statement. I do not. Most of us who have opinions along the lines of the United States of America, what we do not like are the policies and the impositions and the stipulations knowing our history. We do not want to relive our history. So is something wrong with saying we don't have a problem with you as a person, but we don't like when you're... I mean, look at what they have been doing to the region recently. when it isn't one thing, it's another thing. Just bombarding us with a poor little Caribbean islands who have
distracting us from something.
No military might, who have no, and big United States of America. I use the example. Bill Clinton ran to to Europe and the European Union and says, they're selling you banana, you're giving them a favorable price. Little Caribbean, little Caribbean, the United, and we are saying we do not like those policies. We do not like them. Not that we don't have a thing against the United States of America otherwise.
I understand all that, but my thing is, if we feel this way, we should not call on them for nothing at all. You shouldn't want anything from them at all. Not, whether it be good, bad, or ugly, you shouldn't want anything from them. Don't call on them. You have no use for them. Don't call on them.
But sometimes you don't really have to call on them.
America don't do nothing for nothing.
Exactly.
Uncle Sam is not going to give you nothing for nothing.
Okay, so now you may, so now caller. So now caller.
Is not going to do anything without receiving anything, even in the Caribbean.
So now, caller,
that's why Minister ain't giving you nothing for nothing.
So now, caller, you have gone right into my point. That is my point. Something for something. What do we have to give? We don't have a thing. What you want? That reminds me of during the time of Bratcher when they said that Canada at one point said to Papa Bratcher, well, we're giving you a lot of assistance. Perhaps you can make an agreement with us with your sugar. And Papa Bratcher said, I am in a position where I need your assistance. You're either going to give me the assistance and let me thrive and advance, or you don't give me the assistance. And Canada decided, okay, we understand and so forth. But the United States always wants something from nothing. We don't have anything.
No, but we're not. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Caribbean people, a blanket statement that Caribbean people don't like yes. That is not true.
That is not true.
Absolutely not.
That is not true. That is what I said. It is not true.
It is not true.
No, maybe the policies and the practices, as Quinn said, but no, we don't have a problem with it. And everybody goes there for vacation. That's the first place everybody won't go.
And we have families there.
You're building a house.
I don't mind using you if I can use you. Isn't that it?
Oh boy.
I don't mind using you if I can use it. I don't mean I like you.
Oh boy.
Let's keep it real.
So who is using who?
Oh boy.
Who is using
See, like everybody using everybody.
Exactly. But the bigger ones use a little one for something. Because they have something.
The world is yours.
Yep.
And all I'm saying in this specific case, to get back to this specific point, right? A compromise can be made.
And I agree.
Just like how Ghana negotiated what royalties and so on from the developers of those oil fields, Exxon. Why can't it do the same thing with its neighbor?
If it was that easy, don't you think they would have made that already? They would have done it already if it was that easy?
No, because they're digging in their heels.
That's it.
And just and don't want to compromise on that.
That is the point.
But it sounds like y'all want Guyana to do more of the compromising.
No.
It seems like everything falls on Guyana to do all the compromising.
No.
What is Venezuela going to do? What are they going to compromise?
You see, people, when
people... It's a settlement we're after. We don't want this to keep going on for generations and generations. We want an end to it. And to get an end to it, obviously both sides have to give in. Venezuela would have to give up its claim to Guyanese territory.
Yes.
In reply, the Guyanese could say, we give the concessions to either the government of Ghana or government of Venezuela,
yes,
or whoever companies Venezuela have to do similar prospecting, yes, in the disputed region.
So here's what happens. So here's what happened in the end. What happens in the end is that both Guyana and Venezuela can prospect in the region and garner wealth from the region. That is what we're saying.
Yeah, but then who's going to buy their oil except for those in the region?
Listening and you take y'all advice.
more importantly, the claim that Venezuela have for Guyanese, what is now Guyanese territory, would be ended.
By allowing to mine as well.
So, and that's why we call it.
And all of the resources in that area other than the oil.
That is why we call it a compromise. Yeah, but you realize it's GT alone compromising, right? Because, Venezuela will bring their equipment, but it's not going to work. Mr. McMahon. Unity doesn't work for too long. Mr. McMahon.
Contentia, it has not been tried.
Mr. And McMahon, it's not going to work because we're in a greedy era. Mr. McMahon, both Cartencia and our caller, they're not listening to us. We are. They're not hearing what we're saying. We are. But we know it's not going to work. It's a greedy era. Look at, he's locking up the people that opposes him over there. What is he going to do if he feels that Guyana is harvesting more than him, even though it's Guyana's territory and they're sharing? The conflict is going to happen either way. We are a greedy people.
Those are details. Okay? What we want is an end to the conflict. We want, at the end of this, that it is definitely Guyanese territory. Venezuela has no claim, no further claim to it, but it has concessions, which are agreements essentially. And yes, agreements can be broken up, right? As you can see with Trump right now. But at least we can have internationally recognized agreements that allow Venezuelan companies and our government to prospect for oil in the territory. You can't tell me that any company that Venezuela brings to exploit the oil resources in that region could be as big or better or they produce more than a company like ExxonMobil. No way.
No way.
Well, guys, I'm going to throw my hands up and say, Jesus, take the wheel.
Take the wheel, amen.
And I just pray that, I pray that the leader of Guyana will do what's best for his people. And, I throw my hands up. Jesus, take the wheel if you ain't busy.
God help those that help themselves, right? So that don't mean we should throw up our hands. We should put our hands to work and make sure we get an agreement so that the generations to come would live in peace.
Yes, I agree.
That is what we should be after.
Let's hope for that. But with the greed of this world right now... Okay, let's take a bit of a commercial break, and we'll be right back. Okay?
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On The Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WinFM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Biff Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On The Ball with Troy Biff Mills on WinFM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Hop into extra cash this Easter with TDC Financial Services. Need extra cash for your Easter celebrations? Whether it's shopping, home upgrades, a weekend getaway, or a fresh start. With TDC Financial Services Easter loan promotion, you can borrow up to $30,000 at low interest rates with affordable repayment terms. Getting your loan is quick and easy. Just visit any TDC Financial Services branch in St. Kitts on Central Street and in Nevis in the Longstone Building on Main Street in Charlestown. But hurry, this Easter offer is only available for a limited time. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on Win Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea, and I have to read this comment. It says, both countries have a right to their sovereignty and respect, but anytime America get involved in any conflict, both sides always lose. And that is the sad part. And it says, there's a next comment that says, it's all about resource acquisition. That's true. I agree with you, commenter. As Grandma said, the big fish will eat the small fish. That's so true. There's another comment that says, two sides involved can solve their differences with dialogue. America has been trying to overthrow the government of Venezuela for decades and has always been out, and it has always been about the oil that is there. And there is a question that one of our commenters have to ask. They ask, what about the protest in Sandy Point? What is the outcome? We're not sure. So for the powers that be, if you have an outcome, you can let us know what that was. And as well as they're questioning about the doctor's accident. That's Dr. Simonette Williams' accident. They're also asking about the results of that accident. So we'll have to hold on and wait. I don't know how long, but may the powers that be answer the questions that are posed to them. As we continue along in our discussion, I saw a headline that also read that UNICEF condemns rising violence against children in the Caribbean. I haven't seen anything over here or heard anything. I shouldn't say, I haven't heard any reports of child abuse in St. Kitts. I'm sure it happens, but I've not seen anything public per se that I can respond to here. But I know a young gentleman in Barbados, he was 13. He was killed by a stray bullet from an incident that occurred around the area that he was in. So condolences to his families, and may his soul rest in peace. And I hope the perpetrators are dealt with accordingly. We have to be mindful of our children, and even those kids. Like, I empathize with them so much, the Palestinian kids. I saw a little boy, he went off on a reporter yesterday, and I'm like, what if this little boy turns into the next group that hates these people?
That is what is going to happen.
For what they would have done to his
family. It is going to happen.
And it's sad.
It is. There's no way you can do what you're doing to the Palestinian and not create a bunch of haters down the line. I mean, just imagine me watching my family and my friends slaughtered and no one coming to my aid. I mean, I'm a human being. Yeah. I have emotions. I have passions. I'm going to want some kind of revenge because no one seems to be caring about me.
And this is supposed to be realistic. Yeah, celebration, the Eid for the Muslims. And they killed over, the last count that I saw was over 70 to 90 Palestinians were killed during Eid. Imagine. I watch little children say they have nothing to eat, nothing to break their fast with. Like,
what really annoys me, and you know, people might say, because when you make a statement, people make it a bit too broad and broader than you meant it, but then so be the case. I feel that the United Nations should have a part to play and should be respected I think that the big superpowers, especially the United States of America, has shown no respect for anything the United Nations says. They do what they want, and so we see over an extended period where the United Nations is like they're just there. They're saying things. We like what they say. We like some of the stipulations they make, but they're never implemented. You understand? Because the rest of the superpowers of the world they veto everything. We have a caller. Hello?
Caller, good morning. You're live in LNT.
Hello?
Hello? Go
Hey,
ahead.
good morning, Cortesia. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Yeah, good day.
I have been listening to the conversation this morning, and I am all for regions getting their act together on both sides. Here is it, but sometimes we close down neighbors, we live and the neighbor next door doesn't get along.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because of the parents and not so the children. But as we grow up, we learn to get along. I have seen it growing up. And then the outside influence. With the situation with Guyana and Venezuela and the external influence, let's say the United States. Why I say the United States? Because they are so close to us. They are really close to us. And there are other external influences that are far beyond. And there's no way that the United States gonna want to allow other external influence that probably coming from, let's say, halfway around the world to come into the region and reign supreme, so to speak. That said, I always share with my guests why St. Kitts, Nevis, and Anguilla did not go beyond the Associated States from back in about 1966 when it ended with Anguilla seceding in around June of 1966. I was small. And I always share with my guests and tell them that the British set us up for failure. And I made the case, and my guests, they would agree with me, that you don't have 3 separate colonies in a union and you're going to provide 1 ambulance, 1 fire truck, or 1 school bus.
Yeah.
How would 1 fire truck, 1 school bus, or 1 ambulance going to suffice for the 3 islands? That is only one of the resentment, the feelings that Nevis would have felt over the years, and Anguilla would have felt more so.
Yes.
Because they're even farther than Nevis to us.
Yes.
And it lingers on.
It lingers
on to this very day. You will hear conversation on Nevis of some resentment with petitions.
Yes.
More so the politicians, because we are intermingled with our bloodline and heritage and the like.
Yes.
But I use that to say that this is how, like with the doctrine of discovery, when bigger countries went out to colonize other countries, and these countries was here all by themselves, and these countries got carved up.
Yeah.
Family members ended up on one side of the border, and family members up. There's a case in, I think, is Senegal, where a house, the way they draw the border to the borderline, it went through a house, and it's like, wow. This house is on both sides of the border.
Yeah, yeah. We were speaking to that just not too long ago. Yeah.
And we have our words here. It's like we have our words here, but it's like we have our words here. Oh, you guys was put on that island. But whatever this island has in terms of mineral resources, it does not belong to you guys.
Yeah.
You just was put here as pawns.
Yeah.
When we discover anything, it's not going to be to yours. It's going to be to the former colonial masters.
Yeah.
And they're going to have their say, and it's going to go into litigation where you're going to go to the jurisprudence for settlement, and the buyer says, and if you don't get the good result from jurisprudence, you're going to say impeachment, like Donald Trump
Yeah.
is saying, impeachment on the judges, the Jewish students, and so forth.
Caller, that is why the one of the previous callers, when she made the broad statement that you don't like the United States of America, that is why we disagree. What we're saying, we may like you, but we might not like the things you're doing to us. You understand? It's not that. So
I disagree. I disagree because I am a caller to this radio station, and I will talk critical of something, but it's not that I dislike. My siblings there in the United States. They're there.
Yeah.
My youngest sibling, she has been there since 1981.
And that caller grew up in the village, Connery Village, where I grew up, and you know how we Connery people feel about each other. She's residing in the United States of America, so I'm going to hate the United States of America? No.
And you and she get along, and most things you might agree on, but some things you would disagree on, like that instance.
It's just the policy.
Which I disagree on it also.
Yeah, it's the policies, yeah.
Because nobody likes a bully.
You know? So
even in our
United
even when we go to
States-
school and somebody try to bully us, we dislike the person.
Yeah.
The United States just kind of say, okay, we fall in and we fall out. We fall in and we fall out. Because there are other external forces. When you say we fall out, the other external forces will want to get a foot in.
Yeah.
And then you cannot blame other external forces for whatever. You know? No, you have to always show an interest. Look north of their border, the United States border. You follow with them in Canada. You know?
Yeah.
So who are we?
So that's
Who
a
are
good
we?
point. So that's a good point. Is
We're
it
such a
that
great-
is it that Canada hates the United States, or is it that Canada does not
No.
like what is being done recently and they take countermeasures? That is what is happening.
Yes, because Canada is a sovereign nation. And they don't always got things right because the provinces are governed differently
Yeah.
from maybe British influence and French influence. So they have their differences. But here it is now, they are more united now. Because, but no, we in the Caribbean, we are more divided for the same common cause.
Yeah.
When we should be united, we are divided. So here is the unifying factor for the common cause happen amongst the majority of nations. But somehow we who inherited these lands and want to call it home, the United States might just say, go back to Africa, a place that we deny as our home.
I don't think we will be welcome
Yeah.
there.
Irrespective of welcoming or not, if my home is my home, I'm going to fight tooth and nails to make sure I go into my house. You know,
that goes without
I,
saying.
I would know deep down within because it's innate that this is my house. You know, this is really my house.
Yeah.
I've been told so. I have done the research. Your inclination tell you so.
Yeah.
Everything, the signs is there. The big picture is there to tell you that is your house. Well, therefore, you should occupy your house some way or the other.
Yeah.
Not to just pack up and go, like, you know, may forget everything. But you can have interest here and you can also have interest there.
Yeah.
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 And live out the best of both worlds.
Most definitely.
Thank you for your contribution,
And
caller.
and I like the fact that you use St. Kitts Nevis as an example, because I also agree with that, because I have my concerns that I've since I've been growing up from a child to being a man now, I always had a concern of how we as quote Kittitians dealt with Nevisians and Anguillans. I've always had a problem.
Yes, and we are growing now to understand it.
I have always
We are
felt
grown enough now.
I have always felt that we as quote Kittitians have always felt superior to Nevisians, and we have treated them that way. For instance, recently I'm aware that on the board of individuals who make up the corporation for the SIDF, there's not one Nevisian on it. You think that that is right?
And that's not.
You
No.
think you think that that is
Cannot be.
No,
Not in
because
this
we are
day and
federation.
age.
We're
that's it.
federal.
And these are the things we do, and we expect. And when Nivisions make a noise now, they say Nivision don't like petitions. So you see, we wound back to this. Don't like. It's not that. I've said to individual, I've gone to Nevis, and when I went to Nevis, I could not believe the way how amicable, how friendly the Visions were. I was like, within myself, I was thinking, wow, I thought the Vision would really be angry with, and where are you saying?
In spite
You
of.
can
In
come
spite
and
of.
let me finish this tape. Where are you saying? Well, you can come and stay with us. You can. You understand? I mean, I can't find the words to express how friendly these Nivisions were. And I said to myself, no, Nivisions do not hate us. Nivisions do not like the way we treat them sometimes. And Nivisions have always, it seems, been trying to reach out to us, and we have been taking them for granted, and we feel that we can trample on them. And I as a Kittian, born Kittian, don't agree with it. Go ahead, Africa.
Well, I was born here, but I always tell my guests, Quint,
Yes.
because my mother migrated, she came down.
Yes.
I am a Kitty Vision,
Yes.
and I claim both sides.
I like
you know what
that.
I mean? And I live out that Kitty Visionness
Yes.
throughout, and I share it with my guests. I am not just a Kittitian. I am not just only a Nivision. I am both a Kitty Vision.
Yes.
So I have empathy for my sisters and brothers on the other end.
Most definitely.
And even Anguillans.
Yes.
Right. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. I think we could have still been Singis, Nevis, and Anguilla, but like the prior caller said, we treated because if we're treating Nevis the way and Nevis is so close, you could imagine how the Anguillans felt. The Anguillans felt like, wow, we're human beings too.
And you see, this is what I mentioned earlier pertaining to unity.
Yeah.
Even in marriage,
You
sometimes
can
the
stay
unity fall
closer.
apart.
You can stay closer. It's only when your voice
even-
we speak extra loud. Yeah.
Even in marriage, sometimes the unity fall apart because somebody think, oh, I put in more than this other
Yes,
person.
yes.
So it's sad, and
Again,
that unity can't reign.
Again, that word compromise comes up because
But it's normally one person having to compromise the most.
well, that is the case, but we would have to find ways of individuals saying we have to compromise, both you and I.
Yeah, as you
have
said,
to
it
find a middle ground. Hello,
could have
caller.
still been the three.
Yeah. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good morning, man. How you guys doing today?
Good,
We're
thanks.
fine.
Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, great discussions, man. Yeah, Quint, man. Let me get something straight, man. Your name is Quincy Quint.
Just call
Can
me.
you clarify that for me, man?
Just call Quint. I'm quintessential, but to shorten it, you just say Quint.
Shorten it. Got you.
Yes.
Got you. Thanks for that, man. Yeah, good morning, Quint, man. How you? And good morning, Cartensia.
Morning,
Yeah.
bro.
Okay, you see this discussion where you all have just started right now about
Nevis St. Kitts.
internally between the two islands.
Yes.
We do not want to face this. We don't want to hear these conversations. We are shunning away from these conversations. And St. Kitts and Nevis is one state divided by two miles of water.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are one country, even though we're separated by that 2 miles of water. Some persons are not seeing that we are one country.
Yeah.
We are one country. We are unique. One country separated by 2 miles of water. The fact that we are the same people, we gotta be united. Unity is the only way to go. The fact that division has been maybe from 1970, around when that NRP was formed, we got to remember why that NRP party was formed. You know, me, I don't have all the history. I don't know everything, but I know from what I know, the NRP was formed out of the struggle that Nevis had to go through.
Yes.
Fighting against Sinkers and
Yes.
and for the bad treatment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we have to now look at, we went independence together, and we are like, 40, 50 years removed. we got to be looking at that relationship very closely, where we at and where we going.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's a lot of politicians in St. Nevis. They have the history, but some of them, they don't want to educate the people and they educate the youngsters. They want to keep that amongst themselves. But I'm a youngster, and like you just said, as you became a man, you grew up. Like me too, as I became a man, I've become more knowledgeable, and I'm able to look at the world in a different, in an adult way. You know what I mean? I'm not a kid anymore.
Yes.
And my perspective my perspective has widened. My mind has expanded like a rubber band. And me, I'm an independent person and I'm an independent thinker. It ain't nobody can manipulate my mind, bro. I stand firm for what I believe in. You know, right over wrong, good over evil. We condone a lot of wrong in the Federation. And the party politics is what's messing up the place. We don't see the need to go past that party politics. And we have a motto in our that we got a motto that says country above self. We don't even want to adhere by that. But me, I'm a Nevis man, eh?
Yes.
And I grew up in a certain period in Nevis that certain things were instilled in me, and it's going to be hard to get that out of me. And Matt, you're a product of your environment.
Yes, most definitely.
And the fear share that the argument of fear share that you're hearing from the Nevis side, it is not all about money. Like you just mentioned, a board that doesn't have a Nevis person on it, like those type of things has to change.
Yes.
Nevis has to get their equitable share.
Most definitely.
Nevis must get the equitable share, because if they don't, they are going to be looking at taking themselves away from the union with St. Kitts. And if we don't want Nevis people to start going back to thinking like that, we have to treat Nevis right.
Yes, most definitely.
You know, we are a Christian society, and we have one of the commandments says, treat your neighbors you want treat yourself treated, right?
Yes.
So we have to work on our inner self first, and then work outwards. Michael Jackson said, "Look at the man in the mirror." And we can start with our individual self and work ourselves. Look at ourselves. We look at our village. We look at our parish. We look at our island. We look at our country. We look at the region. We look at the world. And all I want, and many persons that been calling on these talk shows, and myself included, I know we just want to see the best for our islands, man.
Yeah.
We want to see our islands progress, and we want to see our leaders do right by the people. And if we can't get that, like Mark Mahan said, we're just going to have to replace them every time, because we don't have that much options.
Yes.
If we don't stand up for ourselves, our politicians will keep treating us the same way. The next election is coming up, and I'm going to encourage as much persons to get registered and exercise their right to vote. Get to them polls and vote your conscience. That's all I can really say to the electorates of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Yeah.
I would want to see certain things happen, but what I'm saying to these politicians, when that next election comes up, please don't let chaos break out in Bastille. You know what I mean? Our politicians, they got to mature. All I'm asking of the electorates is get registered, go to the polls, put your X, and when the election is over, it's time to govern. One thing that I'm concerned with, as I saw how the team unity explode, or whatever word you want to put it, but the way how they broke up,
yeah,
that was very disappointing. And we don't want that to happen again to St. Kitts Nevis. We need to push the country forward, and we need to try to limit that corruption. That's my little contribution for the day, man. But I wish St. Kitts and Nevis the best going forward, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Quint,
we
you
lost
seem to have
a call.
opened a can of worm, because a can of worms
not worm, not
Yeah.
one, more than one. Because somebody's saying here, how the Federal Ministry of Sports find Nevis so atrocious that they decided to extraordinarily delay the inter-high sports meet or possibly not host it at all this year rather than have the event in Nevis where there is an appropriate and ready track.
Yeah, that's a question that comes to some minds.
But to see that it's on we had it, some of it, because
Yeah.
I'm not into stuff like that, over there, and it worked out. Why we didn't just
do it
just
this
take
time?
it over there again? Because I think as a people we like the trips, and we have been frequenting each other recently plenty.
Get closer to the mic.
We have been frequenting each other plenty, so I think that could have been arranged.
I think so
because
too.
people are in dismayed about not having the inter-school, both primary and secondary.
But here's what I will do. I agree with that sentiment, and it is a question that goes around in the back of my head.
Mhm.
But what we need is for our leaders and for the Minister of Sports to
Mhm.
give us a reason why.
Mhm.
I'm not going to jump to conclusion and say
No.
this or that.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. Whenever you don't do things or you foresee something, come to the people and let us
Yeah.
know. Say, okay, we did this last year, but we might not be able to do it this year because of such and such and
Yeah.
such. Don't let it play out, and then we're wondering and we're saying, well, why didn't it happen this year when it happened last year? So I'm looking for the Minister of Sports to come to the people and give us a plausible reason
Yep.
as to why this did not happen. I'm going to give him the leeway, you understand? If when he comes and he tries to give a plausible reason it makes no sense, then that is another question. But I'm going to give him leeway to come to the people and explain to us why this could not take place, why part of it couldn't be on Nevis as it was
Or
done
all of it be on Nevis
prior.
since we're still working on our
Yes.
athletic stadium here.
Yes. Hello, caller? Hello, caller?
Yes. I think nothing more illustrates the difficulty of uniting peoples than what just happened with the fair share agreement, or fair share, what do you call it, conundrum?
Yes.
Between St. Kitts and Nevis. Now, we went to the World Bank, I think, World Bank or IMF? I think it's the World Bank.
The IMF.
It
I
was
think
the
it
IMF?
was. I think it was
Okay.
the IMF. I could be corrected.
All right. Yeah. I guess because we thought, or I hope it was because we thought they would give an arm's length assessment of what fairness is.
Yes.
And a practical way that it can be achieved. I would have thought so.
Yes.
But now that they've come back with a report, I am getting the impression that either one, that was just a delay tactic, or two, it was just all a facade, basically for ticking off a box or,
Yes.
or giving people the impression that they're doing something about it.
And caller,
Because the report,
and caller, I agree with you on that point. Go ahead.
Yeah, but because now that the report is out, I had listened to the press conference by the premier the other day. When it was it yesterday or the day before? Whichever.
Yesterday.
No, it would be yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah. And he actually said that he is in possession of that report now. Okay?
Yes.
But first of all, I don't understand why he could not have been in possession of it from the beginning. It
Yes.
seems as if the federal government, federal administration kept it, looking at it first
Yes.
before releasing it. But be that as it may, he said he looked at the report, but the federal government asked that it not be released to the public as yet. Okay? While I guess they look over it more and probably negotiate or come up with a common position. Now, I kind of feel that that was unnecessary. I think people in the Federation are educated enough to be able to read a report and see whether or not they like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because in the final analysis, that is what it's going to come down to. The politicians could get together, the NIA and the federal cabinet could get together and decide on something. But if there's no buy-in from the public, we're going to end up in the same state that we had before.
Yes.
Okay? And so it should be aired. That is not something that you keep on the wraps and you massage and do all kinds of things with it. That is something that the public should be made aware of, because I would imagine in any negotiations or whatever you want to call them with the NIA and the federal government, they're going to be jockeying for advantage.
Yes.
You talk about greed, that's just the way people are, including politicians.
Yes.
Okay? And so we don't want, I would have preferred, since we had a neutral entity who had produced this report, let everybody see what they came up with.
Yeah.
They have no skin in the game, so to speak. Let's see what they came up with, rather than interject our biases and so on at the outset.
Carla,
okay? So I hope they change the way they're going about this. Yeah.
I agree with you. How long has this report been out?
It's got to be a couple of weeks now. It's probably over a month.
That's what I'm thinking. And so here's the situation. If we as a people, when our politicians, our leaders think that they can take their people for a ride, what do you expect strangers to do? If our very own try to play us, do we expect different from a stranger?
That's a good point. I mean, if we're not respected enough to,
to be able to scrutinize,
to analyze, and so on.
You understand?
Then the outsider's not going to. Of course, the outsider's not going to respect us.
Because
we respect ourselves.
Because the outsider is going to stay out there and say, "Okay, I see the flaws. I see what I can now use to my advantage." You understand what I'm saying?
They're gonna look for our weaknesses.
Yeah.
And exploit them. I really wish they'd have a change of heart in the way they're going about this. And I would hope that it doesn't end there in terms of just the fair share in that respect. This should be part of a wider discussion on constitutional reform.
Yes.
Right? Which again, that's a can to keep kicking down the road.
Yeah.
Again, it's got to be for their own, whatever you want to call it, their own advantage.
Yeah.
So to speak.
For their own reasons.
Yeah. I mean, they're looking. They just don't seem to have our interest, the country's interest at heart.
Yeah.
They're not doing what's best for the country. They're doing what's best for their particular administration.
Yeah. What they feel,
of course, to stay in power.
What they feel will be best for them to stay for this tenure and get a next 5 years. That's what they're concerned about.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah. It may sound harsh. It may sound harsh, but that is the reality.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, right? Yeah. And that's really unfortunate. That's not good leadership. That's self-serving leadership.
I like you feel that it is. I personally feel it was a delaying tactic. You want to tell me in 2025 that we have a situation of fair share and we do not have individuals within our own federation who are mathematically inclined, who can do that calculation and come up with something? Okay, so
that's what Brantley said at the beginning. You remember that's what Brantley said at the beginning, and the sixth form students can do that.
Yes.
So and the thing is, this has been going on. This thing where they approach the IMF or the World Bank have been going on since the previous administration.
Yeah.
You know, so it feels, it smells like a delaying tactic to me,
Yeah,
and
to me
that's
too.
really unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And now this approach where, well, they're gonna discuss it in the cabinet and the NIA and probably negotiators before it becomes public.
Yeah.
That's just another delay. That's unnecessary.
And you see, Mark is kind of smart when he wants to be, because the fact that he threw out that statement that they asked him not to divulge it. You understand what he's doing?
Yeah, of course. It's not me.
It's not me.
It's not me.
So
see, to each his own. Everybody covers
it's
their back.
amusing, you know. It's really amusing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, some people fall for that, you know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They get away. They get away with tricks like that.
Yeah.
You know, as if you're not accustomed to how they operate.
Yes.
Yeah, that is something else.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay then.
Yeah. Well, let's take a break. Do you have anything to say, Hortensia? You've been quite.
No, I've been listening to you.
Yeah,
you
listening,
gentlemen.
observing.
Because I just want it just goes to show that even here, and this is home for me.
Yeah.
Here at home, it's still not fair.
Yeah.
It's still not fair.
Yeah.
Because the next issue that was raised is that the independent church services, back in the previous administration used to alternate, and it's stopped again. Everything happens over here.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we can share, let us all become an inclusive thing.
That's it.
So if this year is St. Kitts, you know, you keep records. So next year is Nevis, next year is St. Kitts, and it could work.
Yeah.
Or varying other services. So let's take the break and we'll be right back.
No, well, we have a caller, so
we
I'm
have a
gonna,
caller? Okay.
Yeah, guys, Quincy just made me laugh. But didn't they work out this fair share already under unity?
Not as
What
far
is
as
the problem now?
not as far as I know. Maybe someone can enlighten me otherwise, but this fair
But
share.
I thought when they joined together, they had a fair share thing work out already.
But they didn't break up, so then
the fair share thing didn't come to a conclusion with that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the prior leader, what's his name?
Dr. Harris?
Dr. Harris also said that he was going to send it to somebody to resolve it. So it wasn't dealt with.
Settled.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't see why everything got to be rocket science done. Why do we need to, like you said, why do we need somebody outside? We don't have nobody in think it's that good at now.
You see, that's we think. We don't boost up our own. We do not boost up our own. We fight against each other. Bad.
Yeah.
God help us. Help
indeed,
us,
Jesus, help us.
Because my thing, right, something that always bothers me when they talk about this fair share, because especially when it comes to the geothermal.
Yes.
I honestly thought when under unity that geothermal would already started in Nevis.
Yeah, we all thought so.
Because you were together. That should have been taken off the ground. But then again, as a Jamaican have a word with red eye. They like to use this thing called red eye.
Yes.
Instead of them push the geothermal in Nevis, where you look patches around come up with geothermal for sinking.
Yeah.
Lord help us.
Yeah.
So
Let's kill that grudging spirit.
Yes. Yeah.
All around the world.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's take that bit of a break now, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Let's get real on Win FM. Hi, this is Lavi. Let's get real Wednesday nights at 8 on Win FM. Get ready for an hour of real talk that will keep you engaged and informed, bringing you insights, the hottest topics of the moment, and perspectives that matter from the runway to the political arena. Real talk with Lavi covers all. Let's get real Wednesday nights at 8 on Win FM.
We run things are on we. Buster. Living color, do it differently. Buster. Large and in charge, like for the party. Buster. We set the pace, then everybody follow.
call and say, hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10. No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, nobody run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with Win FM.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on Win Media 98.9.
And we're back.
And I'm here sitting wondering why are certain things hidden from the people?
And we have a caller.
Yes, guys. Yes, I'm calling. You see, this confusion between Guyana and Venezuela. You see, a lot of people miss the main problem. I remember last year, I think it was last year before, I was speaking to a lady from Guyana, and I tell her this. I said to her, you know, even though America going to come in to help you all, America in the end is going to want to end up running and controlling the oil from Guyana. And I told her it ain't for free. You are going to have to pay a price for America's protection. And the price is going to be your oil under their control. And I said this to say all of that. You know, the only solution for the whole situation is simply start to do things the biblical way. Only Christ could help you. And I'm going to say this. Everything that goes contrary to the Bible, including the government plastic bans and whatever and all others, will always, in the end up to be counterproductive and destructive to you. Because nothing that goes against the Bible can work out correct. It always work out to our destruction. And only Jesus Christ could really save Guyana, just because when we don't do things, it brings confusion and problems on us. For example, we seem to have a lull in, for example, homicide rate. But if we don't get right with Jesus Christ, he in his own time, he's going to reap it up back again and even worse. You see? So we cannot have peace outside of Jesus Christ. And look at it. As soon as we think we get over the homicide thing, we know in problem with America, in problem with this, in problem with that. And that's what Jesus Christ would always do. He would always bring confusion and destruction on us if we don't do things according to the Bible, because we are very evil and wicked people. And we need to
what
biblically
homicide
repent.
stuff are you talking about?
Repeat?
What homicide stuff are you talking about?
When we used to have, for example, last year, the homicides were what? 28, 29?
Oh, okay, I understand now. Okay, all right, got you.
Yes. So yes. So only Jesus Christ can help us. And I would like to say, let us be mindful of the hurricanes again. We thank God, thank Jesus Christ that He spared us of hurricane. We in this area, and we need to turn to Jesus Christ. Otherwise, our time is going to come, and when it comes, it's going to be very, very bad. So we got time still to repent and get right with Jesus Christ. He has been really merciful and gracious to us and bless us in ways that we don't deserve not one of them. All we deserve is destruction. So I just like us to know. And you see also with Venezuela, you see like how America, God is making America to be Venezuela problem. Same thing. We all need to turn to Jesus Christ, otherwise He will bring all sorts of evils upon us to destroy us. So like I said, everything that goes against the Bible, including the government plastic bans, are counterproductive. Thank you very much. Let us obey Jesus Christ, because if we're dead in our sins, we will end up in hell forever and ever. Only the blood of Christ could save us from our sins and from hell.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Hortensia, before Greg, you were saying something about our leaders and the people and coming.
I was just thinking, how come then they're not talking to us? Because everybody's concerned that, you know, the transparency is not there. We're not hearing certain things. And when I look at governments around the world, right, everybody blames the last one.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the U.S.
Yeah. Yeah.
All around the
It's
world,
the
if something
same.
is
It's the same old, same old.
yeah, because every minute, I remember when this administration went in after Mr. Obama, everything was Obama.
Yeah.
Now this administration's in after, but every minute you hear something about Biden. Even here in the Caribbean, the last administration, the previous administration. Like, I just wish we could just come in, do our work, forget the past, and just look to the future and just do what we have to do. We promise people we're going to be open and transparent with them. Be that. Don't have people questioning. Don't have people speculating. People speak. As you rightfully said, these things get out. And these people, they're weak on the inside. Let's come in and infiltrate and mash them up.
Yeah.
And as we said,
we show our own weaknesses.
Yeah, we expose it.
Yeah, we expose it.
Even in Guyana, yes, the Venezuelans was speaking about, they're being whatever in the Essequibo region. As I said, I never not believed it, but it's coming into fruition.
Yeah.
But it's better for us to come to the fore, be honest. We have all these saying about speaking the truth and living to see another day and blah, but do we really?
It seems to me that now that I'm a grown individual, you know, when we were young growing up, the grown-ups used to say to us, always tell the truth.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that now that I'm a grown individual, they really meant to say, only tell the truth
when you're young.
Yeah, when you're young.
Us, the adults.
Yeah, but when you become a grown-up, you do otherwise. It's like, don't do as I do as I say. Yeah. So.
It's a sad reality.
Double standards, you know.
Very much so. Very
and
much so.
And then we wonder, why is it that the younger individuals tend to look at us and scratch their head and say, what do you really want? What are you really trying to say?
What are you asking me to do?
Yeah. You know.
Well, we are at that time, so I will wish everyone a happy Tuesday. Keep your circle positive, speak good words, think good thoughts, do good deeds. Quint, you have a great day, and the discussion continues tomorrow. However, I won't be in, so see you guys on Thursday.
Well, we always miss you when you're not here.
Aww.
We enjoy your company, your ambiance. You bring an ambiance to the whole place. But do take care, and we'll look forward to hearing you the day after.
Yeah.
Okay? Do take care.
All right, have a good one.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay.